Hi, Mike here, and welcome to my latest video. So I'm just gonna share my thoughts on why I chose this bike as my new bike for 2026 and probably a bit longer than that. So when I decided I was getting rid of the 1250 GS, I was hell-bent on getting myself another adventure bike, but a smaller adventure bike. By smaller I mean capacity, not necessarily capacity should I say, but weight, smaller in stature. I was looking at things like the middleweight adventure bikes, Africa Twins and Triumph Tigers, the BMW. I like the BMW R12G/S, and so I was having a look at all the various options, and for whatever reason I was tying myself in knots trying to decide what to get. And you sometimes get to a point where you have decision paralysis, where you're weighing up the pros and cons, and you list all the attributes of the bike that you want against the bike that you've seen, and there's always compromises. And in the end, I just got sick and tired of trying to decide what I wanted. And this bike just kind of came out of left field. I just happened to be watching a guy on YouTube who had just bought one to do a big trip in Western Australia. And I'm familiar with Western Australia. I've lived there myself for many, many years. So I know the sort of trip he was planning on doing. And I thought, what an odd choice, because it's definitely the sort of trip that you'd want a big adventure bike like a GS or a GS Adventure or KTM 1290 Adventure R or something like that. You know, something that'll easily do 700 or 800 kilometers a day in relative comfort, and that's what they're built for. But he bought one of these, and he put together a series of videos where he showed the modifications he was doing to the bike to prepare for the trip. And he also shared his thought process on why he chose the bike. And you know what, I actually thought, what an absolutely amazing idea. You know, think outside of the square. You know, not necessarily sticking with all of the usual suspects when it comes to choosing your next machine. And so I thought, I'll have a look around, and this one just came up at a dealer's in Plymouth. Low mileage, 3,000, I think it's 3,400 kilometers, miles, sorry, 3,400 miles on the clock on a 2023 bike, which is barely running. And for £9,000, it's a lot of bike for the money. This model year came with most of the, well, this had all of the options pretty much from the factory in terms of the electronics that you could get on these. You know, the free rider modes, the ABS Pro, etc. And I was so impressed with the way this guy on YouTube was enthusing about the bike. I thought, yeah, well, what have I got to lose? I'll give it a go. I bought it unseen. I didn't even go down to the dealer to look at the bike. I got him to send me a video of the bike. And I was impressed enough to buy it unseen. And the bike was delivered to me a couple of weeks later. So yeah, a shout out to Macpherson's Motorcycles in Plymouth, who sold me the bike. The dealer there was really good. Didn't put any pressure on me. I didn't even haggle on the price. You know, £9,000 for a bike like this. I felt it was a fair price, so I bought it. So do I have any buyer's remorse? No, absolutely not. I think it's a fabulous bike. On roads like this, we're in the Trough of Bowland. I've just left Dunsop Bridge. I'm heading towards Sladeburn now. Just coming into Sladeburn now. Yeah, it was a good choice. Absolutely don't regret it one iota. I think if I'd have spent 14 or 15,000 pounds on a bike, I'd be looking for things to quibble about. Whereas with this, I accept its flaws, knowing that I've got money in my budget to fix the things that niggle, like the rear shock and maybe a few farkles to make the bike a little bit more practical for what I want. But as a standard motorcycle, as I've received it, I'm really happy with it. The one thing I've done to the bike since I've had it is I've taken out the decibel killers from the exhaust. It did sound quite muted. It sounds a little bit fruitier now with the factory Akrapovic exhaust baffles removed. The cafe there's shut, so there's not as many bikes about today. It's a popular spot to stop off for a coffee. So we're going to head back towards Settle that way. So yeah, the other bikes I was looking at, the Africa Twin. I was looking at buying a brand new one. The standard, not what they call the Adventure Sport model with a big fuel tank and the 19-inch front wheel. The smaller fuel tank version with the 21-inch front wheel and a manual gearbox with electronic suspension. The Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro was another one on my list. The BMW F900 GS was another one. Yamaha Tenere World Raid, the new one that's just come out. But they'd pre-sold all of those. I would have had to wait till, I think the dealer was talking about June before I could get one. In the colour I wanted, which would have been the red and white. That looks like a phenomenal bike actually. But the one thing I will say is I sat on the standard Tenere, which is I think about 15mm shorter than the World Raid, and I was on tiptoes. So I would have had to put a lowering kit on that bike. But when I looked at the value proposition of this bike, it comes with cruise control. It's got heated grips. Those are the things that I would have had to put on as an option on some of the bikes. With the Tenere, that World Raid does come with cruise control, but it doesn't come with heated grips. So that would have been a couple of £100 to put heated grips on that bike. So, you know, in terms of value, I've got everything that I wanted on my motorcycle wish list on this bike, and I can touch the floor fairly flat-footed, to be honest. Be interesting to see what a difference it'll make when I put a stiffer rear spring on this. I was watching a guy who was doing some suspension modifications to his R90 Urban GS, and he was saying in that video that the bike is really set up for a rider of around 85 kilos. So if you're like me, 90 kilos, and you plan on putting maybe some luggage on it at some point, it's going to be undersprung, and you feel it. You know, it's not the most. Trying to find the word. It's not the most elegant suspension setup. It's not the most comfortable on the back. Probably live with the front, but the back is what does most of the work anyway. What a cracking road. We're gonna come out at Long Preston on the A65, and then jump on the A65 for a little bit, and then take a ride up to Settle. So it's actually the second week in April now, and the weather is still a little bit on the cold side. So yeah, I'm still using the heated grips. Got them on 1 bar at the moment, which is just enough to take the wind chill off. That's definitely something that I'm going to be fitted, is some bark busters, and I might go with the Storm handguards with the bark busters, just because they give more full coverage, protecting the hands from the wind blast. Oh, we're just coming into North Yorkshire now. So we've left Lancashire. A lot of bikes out today. Nice to see. It's definitely nice to get out on the bike As some of you may know, I work as a campsite warden, and I work the weekends. So I actually like the fact I can get out on my bike in the week because there's fewer cars on the road. And a lot of the places where you might want to visit or call in for a coffee aren't as busy on the weekdays. Certainly now that the schools have gone back. So the schools went back today after the Easter break. So everywhere seems a lot quieter today. So that's good.